Chapter 61 will be arrested. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qiu Lingfeng was shocked at first when he saw the mysterious woman waving to him. The last time he wanted to use his identification skills to check the mysterious woman's information, he fainted on the spot. She also had her clothes taken away. The mysterious woman is still wearing his disciple's clothes now. It doesn't look like there's any hostility. Why don't you go take a look? Qiu Lingfeng thought to himself. Then, Qiu Lingfeng walked towards the other side. This time Qiu Lingfeng was smart and did not identify the mysterious woman's information, to avoid having her clothes taken away again after she faints. Before he even got close to the mysterious woman, the three-tailed rabbit behind her started to flutter and looked at Qiu Lingfeng with hostility. But when the woman pressed her hand slightly, all the three-tailed rabbits calmed down. You haven't broken through to the Dao spirit realm yet? The woman looked at Qiu Lingfeng and said in surprise. The voice sounded nice, but it was a bit harsh in Qiu Lingfeng's ears. No breakthrough yet? Gone. The realm I worked so hard to suppress was almost broken by you on the spot. Is it easy for me to suppress a realm? You still said you were giving me good fortune. He actually wanted to make me break through the realm. Forget it, I'll give you another thing to help you break through. The woman sighed, and then took out a pink fruit the size of a thumb from her arms. Then, the pink fruit flew towards Qiu Lingfeng. Qiu Lingfeng reached out and took it, and then his pupils shrank, because after he got it, he felt a terrifying spiritual power fluctuation on the fruit. Yes, that's right, the aura fluctuations on this fruit are not spiritual energy, but spiritual power. Spiritual power is the symbol of Taoist realm warriors. What is the origin of this fruit? There are actually spiritual fluctuations. Identify. Qiu Lingfeng curiously tried to identify the pink fruit in his hand. Powdered Dao fruit can increase your cultivation after refining. Increase your cultivation. Powder the Dao fruit. Qiu Lingfeng frowned, a little confused, and said. Does this so-called Dao fruit have other grades besides the powder grade? Unfortunately, identifying magical powers cannot answer his question. It couldn't solve Qiu Lingfeng's doubts. Where did this come from? Qiu Lingfeng looked at the mysterious woman and asked. It comes from humans. The mysterious woman spoke, then showed a sly smile and said. But don't worry, even though you ate the rabbit, I won't kill you. The mysterious woman's words made Qiu Lingfeng feel numb. Tao fruit, Tao fruit. From humans? Plus the spiritual power fluctuations on this pink fruit. Doesn't that mean that the pink fruit in his hand comes from a Taoist realm warrior? Because the sixth realm of Dao Ling is also called Dao Fruit Realm. When he thought that the Dao fruit in his hand came from a Dao spirit realm warrior, Qiu Lingfeng couldn't help but drop the Dao fruit. That's good stuff. The mysterious woman frowned and said. Jade hand sucked it, and the pink Dao fruit flew back into her hand. What is your identity? Qiu Lingfeng couldn't help but hold the dagger at his waist and looked at the woman warily. You killed the tiger and you are my friend. The woman spoke up. Tiger? Qiu Lingfeng frowned slightly. It seems that he has only killed one tiger, that is the flaming tiger in the Flame Canyon. Could it be that the woman was talking about the flaming tiger? Eat it and you will become a Taoist realm warrior. The woman came over and wanted to stuff the Dao fruit into Qiu Lingfeng's mouth. Qiu Lingfeng retreated hastily. He didn't want to eat such an unlucky thing. Why don't you eat? The mysterious woman frowned and said, seemingly expressing her dissatisfaction. I have worked so hard to suppress my cultivation realm, but I just don't want to break through. You woman, you are trying every possible means to make me break through the realm. What are your intentions? Qiu Lingfeng said angrily and helplessly in his heart. Of course, at the moment, he didn't know the depth of the mysterious woman, and he didn't dare to act rashly. He could only explain. I am suppressing the realm and consolidating the foundation. I cannot break through casually for the time being. So that's it. If you didn't tell me earlier, you made me think you couldn't break through last time. The mysterious woman nodded, suddenly enlightened. Qiu Lingfeng looked at the woman in front of him. He didn't know why, but he always felt that she was a little silly. Then keep this Dao fruit and use it later. The mysterious woman handed the Dao fruit to Qiu Lingfeng again. No need. Qiu Lingfeng shook his head hurriedly. No, you must accept it. The mysterious woman said urgently and forced it to Qiu Lingfeng. Qiu Lingfeng couldn't just throw this thing away, so he had to keep it in his portable space. I've finished using my clothes, and I'll give them back to you now. The mysterious woman said, and then she took off her clothes in front of Qiu Lingfeng like a normal person. Hiss! Qiu Lingfeng's scalp went numb. He turned around quickly and said. You clearly know that you need to wear clothes, which means you have a sense of shame. Why are you still not ashamed to take them off in front of me? If you don't wear clothes outside, you will be arrested. I have tried it before. The mysterious woman said something shocking. Cough cough cough. Qiu Lingfeng was completely speechless. Puff, there was a sound of water. The mysterious woman jumped into the lake again. At this time, folded clothes were already lying on the shore. Return the clothes to you. The woman said. Qiu Lingfeng turned around and looked at the mysterious woman in the water rippled, and the woman's silhouette could be vaguely seen. Such a blurry picture has a different kind of temptation. Even Qiu Lingfeng himself didn't know how he restrained himself. Maybe, it's because I'm afraid of death. I'll give these clothes to you from now on, so that you don't have to go through so much trouble when you want to come out. Qiu Lingfeng said to the woman. It is good. The woman obviously had no idea of politeness and nodded. Then, several three-tailed rabbits took away the clothes on the ground. How do you control these three-tailed rabbits? There are no magical beasts around here. Is it because of you? Qiu Lingfeng looked at this scene and asked curiously, although this mysterious woman is mysterious, she doesn't seem to have any hostility. Okay, the mysterious woman nodded frankly and said. The monsters around me are afraid of me. You can live over there. As for Qiu Lingfeng's first question, the mysterious woman had no intention of answering. Qiu Lingfeng didn't mention it again, so as not to make the mysterious woman unhappy. Then, the mysterious woman froze by the lake for a long time, frowning her beautiful eyebrows from time to time, as if she was thinking hard. Qiu Lingfeng didn't dare to disturb her and just watched her from the side. I remembered and wanted to say goodbye. It took a long time for the mysterious woman to speak. Qiu Lingfeng almost fainted. He had been thinking with you for so long. What should he say when saying goodbye? Qiu Lingfeng was disappointed, thinking that the mysterious woman was thinking about some profound issue. She looked so serious. Goodbye. Qiu Lingfeng nodded and said. Then, the mysterious woman sneaked into the middle of the lake. Everything returned to its original state, as if the mysterious woman had never appeared at all. Chapter 62 Return to Jinlan City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. That woman should not be human. This idea suddenly popped into Qiu Lingfeng's head. However, he couldn't verify this day. He could only wait until he returned to Taishan Sword Academy to ask Zi Xiaoling. After that, Qiu Lingfeng returned to the camp. As soon as Qiu Lingfeng arrived at the camp, Li Minmin walked out of the house with a rosy face. After seeing Qiu Lingfeng, an embarrassed smile appeared on his face. Ling Feng, you haven't slept yet? Li Minmin asked. No, I just went out to get some fresh air. Why are you still up so late? Qiu Lingfeng frowned and asked knowingly. It's too hot tonight. I slept so hard that I was covered in sweat, and now I'm going to wash myself off. After Li Minmin finished speaking, she lowered her head and quickly walked around Qiu Lingfeng. Qiu Lingfeng looked at Li Minmin's back and shrugged. Should he say that there is a mysterious woman in the lake? Okay, better not to say it. After all, that mysterious woman is too scary, and judging from the appearance of the mysterious woman, it is estimated that she will not come out again for the time being. After returning to his small wooden room, Qiu Lingfeng went to sleep. Because they were preparing to settle down, Qiu Lingfeng and others had prepared the furniture properly. Otherwise, Li Minmin and Wang Tao wouldn't be firing on all cylinders tonight. When he thought of this, the figure of the mysterious woman could not help but appear in Qiu Lingfeng's mind. But Qiu Lingfeng soon shook his head, threw away distracting thoughts, and went to sleep seriously. Because of the existence of the mysterious woman, the place where Qiu Lingfeng and others were located was very safe. There are almost no monsters, and the monsters you occasionally encounter are those that break in accidentally and are very easy to deal with. Qiu Lingfeng's life this month was really boring. He originally thought that surviving for a month would be very difficult, who knew that Guo Chen was so lucky to have picked such a geomantic treasure place? As a result, Warcraft did not dare to come over to cause trouble. Over the past month, Xiaolingfeng and others' daily lives have been simple. Everything to eat and drink is available in the lake. Occasionally, if you want to change your taste and don't want to eat fish, you can go hunting in the distance. Everyone even seemed to be practicing in the camp. If other disciples struggling to survive saw this, wouldn't they vomit blood on the spot? Nima, we are working so hard to survive in the cracks, but it would be better for you to start practicing when you are bored. After a month, Xiaolingfeng was able to condense the 9 lines of Taoism. What surprised Xiaolingfeng was that even so, the meridians in his body showed no signs of reaching their limits. After trying his best to suppress the desire to break through to the Taoist realm, Xiaolingfeng chose to continue to accumulate the spiritual energy in his body. Since his meridians have not reached their limit, it means that his limit is not here. Why not continue to accumulate and condense a stronger 9 marks Tao seed? Even if they are both of the 9 marks Taoism, there is still a difference between just reaching the threshold and reaching the end. Although it does not affect the state of the Taoist realm, it will definitely be linked to spiritual power. After all, the cultivation level of Dao spirit realm warriors is above that of Dao seed. The stronger the Dao seed, the stronger the spiritual power. I don't know if I will be able to cultivate the 10 lines of Taoism if I continue to practice like this. Xiaolingfeng murmured in his heart, but this thought was quickly thrown away by him. After all, the highest number of patterns recorded in the book is only 9. This has been the case from ancient times to the present. No matter how talented the genius is, they all remain in the 9-line Dao seed. Xiaolingfeng didn't think that his talent would be better than those geniuses who shocked the past and the present. He still has this self-awareness. On this day, a falcon landed on the shore of the lake. A figure jumped down from above. It was the inner courtyard senior sister Mtlno who brought Xiaolingfeng and others. When Mtlno saw Xiaolingfeng and others camp, she almost thought she had made a mistake. These junior brothers and sisters from the outer courtyard are planning to live here permanently. A house was actually built. Xiaolingfeng and others heard the movement by the lake and left the camp. When he saw Mtlno, Wang Tao's face lit up and he asked, "Sister, can we go back now?" Don't ask him why he is so happy. When you are so bored that you can only kill time with gunfire, you will naturally understand why Wang Tao is so happy. Yes, go up. Mtlno didn't ask too much, because there were a bunch of people waiting for her to pick her up. After hearing this, a few people simply packed their bags and boarded the falcon. As for the facilities and buildings in the camp, they have not moved. They are all made of wood anyway, and if no one lives in them, they will collapse in a short time. Moreover, the remaining part of this camp has some commemorative significance. Maybe I will come back to visit Kanglan Mountains in the future. Especially Wang Tao and Li Minmin. After all, their house is full of traces of love. After picking up Xiaolingfeng and the other 5, Mtlno went to pick up other outer courtyard disciples. Just as Xiaolingfeng expected, after a month of living in torture, many of the outer courtyard disciples were tortured to the point where they were no longer human beings. They lost a lot of weight, became a lot darker, their clothes were torn, and many of them died. Compared with them, Xiaolingfeng and others have enjoyed their lives in the past month. In addition, there are a large group of outer courtyard disciples who are worse off than dead. No, they are already inner courtyard disciples. Yes, that's right, these people were forced to break through to the spiritual realm when they faced a life and death crisis. All the time spent on Tongmai realm was in vain. And because they have broken through to the Dao spirit realm, these disciples will be directly promoted to become disciples of the inner courtyard and will directly lose the qualifications for selection as disciples of the outer courtyard. For them, this is the hardest thing to accept. After all, many of them could have higher Tao seed marks. In the end, because he was facing a life and death crisis, he made a hasty breakthrough to the Taoist realm, which directly affected his future path to martial arts. In this way, can they not be so disheartened that life would be worse than death? Riding on the falcon, everyone quickly returned to Jinlan City. Although the time to return to Jinlan City is only more than 2 hours, but for a group of outer courtyard disciples who had just lived in the Kanglan Mountains for a month, it seemed extremely long. It was also at this time that they realized how happy life was in Jinlan City. No need to worry about monsters appearing at any time. No need to worry about being hungry every day. Finally home. Jinlan City, I'm back. Today I will transform into a cook and eat to my heart's content. After seeing the outline of Jinlan City, a group of disciples from the outer courtyard cried with joy and roared crazily. Mtlno was not surprised by this, after all, any normal person might do such a thing. Chapter 63 Answer seriously. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It was already evening after everyone returned to Jinlan City. There were dedicated disciples responsible for counting the number of people, and it didn't take long for the number to be counted. By the way, all the information was sent to Xiaoling and others. A total of 390 disciples went to the Kanglan Mountains to survive for a month. 36 people died in battle, 173 people broke through to the Tao spirit realm, and 12 people were unfortunately disabled. The remaining disciples all successfully passed the first round of selection. The second round of melee was set at 9:30 p.m., that is, frowny face in the morning, and the location was rarely set in the inner courtyard. Not only is this the case for the second round, but the third round is also held in the inner courtyard, because only the inner courtyard has such a large-scale arena. The battle fluctuations of Taoist realm warriors are far more terrifying than those of Tongmai realm. After receiving the notification, Xiaoling and the other 5 made an appointment to go to the cafeteria for dinner. After a month's absence, many of the outer courtyard disciples who had participated in the first round of disciple selection came to the cafeteria with happy faces on their faces. Some of the emotional ones even shed tears. Finally, I no longer have to endure those unpalatable foods. Xiaoling and the other 5 are okay, at least they don't need to do it themselves. And the variety of food in the cafeteria is obviously much more than in the Kanglan Mountains. After eating, they walked towards each other's dormitories. Unlike Xiaoling who lived in building Bingjiu, Guo Chen and the others lived in building Bing, back in the dormitory, Xiaoling saw Zhao by eating. Now he is the only one who lives in Xiaoling dormitory because Yi Yucheng and Hao Xiao have both left. Came back. Zhao Bai ate noodles and looked at Xiaoling. Well, tomorrow is the second round of selection. Xiaoling nodded and said. Old Zhao, what have you been busy with these days? What else can I be busy with? Accept missions to earn points and practice. At this time next year, I guess I can try to participate in the disciple selection. If not, I can go directly to the inner courtyard. Zhao Bai shrugged and said. Then do your best. After Xiaoling finished speaking, he went to take a shower. As soon as he came out of the shower, Xiaoling communication watch buzzed for a while. Zhang Xiaonan, Ling Feng, how is your disciple selection going? Did you come back safely? That the most beautiful girl in the universe, junior brother, why didn't you send me a message as soon as you came back? If my dad hadn't told me that the first round of disciple selection was over, I wouldn't have known you were back. Angry_32, Xiaoling looked at these 2 pieces of news and raised the corner of his mouth. He first replied to Zhang Xiaonan. Very good, I'm not in danger, and I'm back safely. Then he replied to Zi Xiaoling. Senior sister, wasn't it too late for me to inform you? Don't be angry. It's not too late to tell you that you are safe. The most beautiful girl in the universe, I don't care, come to the entrance of the inner courtyard to meet me now. Senior sister, I just returned to the dormitory. The most beautiful girl in the universe, are you coming? Xiaoling looked at Zi Xiaoling's message and did not dare to refuse, so he could only reply. I'll be there soon. Speaking of, did Zi Xiaoling get a new communication watch? It even supports sending emojis, although he can't see it from here. Who let his communication watch be just a giveaway? It can only be used in Jinlan City, and transfers can only be supported outside the city. Well, Zi Xiaoling is really a little rich woman. After Xiaoling replied to Zi Xiaoling, he didn't dare to neglect and immediately put on his shoes and went out. He jogged all the way to the entrance of the inner courtyard, and saw Zi Xiaoling already waiting for him under the lamp. Seeing Xiaoling running towards him, Zi Xiaoling waved to him. Senior sister, why are you looking for me so late? Xiaoling ran over and asked. To celebrate your safe return, senior sister will take you out for a big meal. Zi Xiaoling took Xiaoling's arm and pulled him out of the academy. No. Sister, I'm full. Qiu Lingfeng said speechlessly, he just finished eating with Guo Chen and the others in the cafeteria, okay? However, as soon as he said these words, Zi Xiaoling on the side cast a look that made Qiu Lingfeng's scalp numb. Qiu Lingfeng immediately changed his words. But now that senior sister mentioned it like this, I seem to be hungry again. Well, let's go. Junior brother, you have been in Jinlan city for so long, and you haven't even gone around the city. You have always been in Taishan Sword Academy, right? Zi Xiaoling asked. Yeah, after all, I don't have any money. Qiu Lingfeng nodded helplessly, he only had about 1,000 yuan on him, which Zhang Dainiu gave him before leaving. The currency in Taishan Sword Academy is disciple points, but it is different in Jinlan city. The money spent is the banknotes he carries. Don't worry tonight, senior sister is treating you. Zi Xiaoling, a wealthy man, patted his chest and said. This, isn't it good? Qiu Lingfeng still felt embarrassed and said. Humph, you have taken so many things from me, do you still care about this? Zi Xiaoling snorted and said dissatisfied. Or do you think of me, senior sister, as an outsider? No, of course not. Qiu Lingfeng shook his head hurriedly. That's it, let's go. Zi Xiaoling nodded with satisfaction, hugged Qiu Lingfeng's hand and ran. Hey, senior sister, please slow down, I can't keep up. Qiu Lingfeng almost fell and said. Sorry, I forgot that you are not in the Taoist realm. Zi Xiaoling slowed down her pace, stuck out her lilac tongue in embarrassment, and said. By the way, speaking of the Tao spirit realm, junior brother, how many Tao seeds can you condense now? Zi Xiaoling asked again. If I said that I can now condense the 9 lines of Taoism, would you believe it, senior sister? Qiu Lingfeng thought for a while and rarely spoke the truth. Hiss. Unexpectedly, Qiu Lingfeng's words directly caused Zi Xiaoling to twist Qiu Lingfeng's arm, which made the latter grin and gasp in pain. Humph. I'm asking you so seriously, and you're actually perfunctory with me. You don't think I won't be angry, do you? Seriously, how many Tao seeds can you gather? Zi Xiaoling said angrily. No, I really didn't bother you, senior sister. Qiu Lingfeng wanted to cry but had no tears. He can really condense the 9 lines of Taoism, but why doesn't Zi Xiaoling believe it? Answer me seriously. Zi Xiaoling looked into Qiu Lingfeng's eyes and said seriously. I can condense the 9 lines of Taoism. Qiu Lingfeng also looked into Zi Xiaoling's eyes and said very seriously. Being stared at by Qiu Lingfeng, Zi Xiaoling quickly looked away, lowered her head slightly and said. If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. But just remember not to break through easily. You must at least condense the 7 lines of Taoism. No, I have been telling the truth. Qiu Lingfeng almost wanted to vomit blood. Chapter 64 The Wealthy Zi Xiaoling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zi Xiaoling left Taishan Sword Academy with Qiu Lingfeng. Jinlan city is brightly lit at night, and 1 or 2 cars occasionally pass by on the street. This situation made Qiu Lingfeng think of the Earth in his previous life. Of course, if there weren't those people riding Earth warcraft running across the road, I'm afraid Qiu Lingfeng will also think that he has not traveled through time. Pretty? Zi Xiaoling noticed that Qiu Lingfeng's eyes had been looking curiously and asked with a smile. Jinlan city is also one of the 24 main cities of the human race. Such a night view cannot be seen except in the main city. Zi Xiaoling raised her little head proudly and said. 24 main cities. Qiu Lingfeng's eyes lit up and he continued. Senior sister, that means that in addition to Jinlan city, there are 23 big cities in the world that are the same size as Jinlan city? Of course. However, the scale of our Jinlan city is relatively small among the 24 main cities. The largest city is known as the North Star of the human race. Zi Xiaoling nodded and said. Junior brother, you come from a village, so it's normal for you not to understand these things. The North Star of the human race, Qiu Lingfeng murmured and asked. So what's the name of that city? I don't know the original name of that city, but it is now the imperial capital of the human race. Zi Xiaoling shook her head and said. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. Senior sister is here to bring you out to see the world, not to tell you this. Zi Xiaoling changed the subject. She was really not very good at talking about the history of the human race. She didn't want to be unable to answer Xiaoling Feng's question. In that case, her senior sister would be too embarrassed, right? No. After I go back today, I must replenish my knowledge in this area. In case her junior brother asks again, she won't be able to answer. Zi Xiaoling secretly made up her mind. Just keep walking along this road and you will reach Nandu Academy. Zi Xiaoling pointed into the distance and said. Senior sister, how many families are there in Jinlan city? Xiaoling Feng asked curiously again. 6, if you include the city lord's mansion, then there are 7. Zi, Yi, Mo, Yun, Lin, Lan, and the city lord Su family. Zi Xiaoling opened her hands and counted them. Senior sister is also from a family, Xiaoling Feng asked in surprise. Of course, but I am of collateral blood. Zi Xiaoling stuck out her tongue and said. Because the main line of the family cannot join other forces at will, and the sidelines do not have this restriction, so in order to have better training resources, I joined the Taishan Sword Academy. Collateral branch, Yi Yuqing is also a disciple of the collateral branch, so he can join Taishan Sword Academy. Xiaoling Feng nodded and murmured. Junior brother, why do you ask this? Zi Xiaoling asked. No, I'm just curious. Xiaoling Feng shook his head and said. According to what senior sister said, did the disciples from these family branches choose to join Taishan Sword Academy or Nandu Academy because of their training resources? Of course, It's obvious that we all have the same surname and that we all have the same ancestor. We have to create a main line and collateral lines. Zi Xiaoling said dissatisfiedly that only the disciples of the main line of the family have massive cultivation resources, and the disciples of the sidelines usually destroy themselves. If my father hadn't become the great elder of the inner court, I wouldn't have been able to reach the second level of Taoism so quickly. Xiaoling Feng nodded and asked. So, those disciples carefully cultivated by the family are more talented than you, senior sister. Bah, can talent be cultivated? Such things are all innate. The talents of those family disciples are not necessarily better than mine. Most of them are just at a higher level of cultivation than me. In terms of real combat power, there are very few who can beat me. Zi Xiaoling said. Xiaoling Feng thought about it and thought so. The Taoist realm is a very magical realm, and the realm of cultivation does not mean everything. This is completely different from the Tongmai realm. Tongmai realm means that the higher the realm, the stronger it is. The strength of the Tao spirit realm is directly linked to the Tao seed. A warrior with a Dao seed lay of the 9 lines Dao seed might be able to completely abuse a Dao tree lay warrior with a 1-line Dao seed. In other words, in the realm of Dao Ling Jing, a warrior with a low realm is not necessarily weak, and a warrior with a high realm is not necessarily strong. This is also the reason why condensing Tao seeds must not be hasty, because this is directly related to the practice of Taoist realm. The two chatted all the way and arrived outside a luxuriously decorated restaurant. Let's go, senior sister will take you to have a nice meal. Zi Xiaoling said with a smile, then he took Xiaoling Feng's arm and walked in. Welcome. On both sides of the door, there are a row of welcoming ladies. Seeing Zi Xiaoling and 2 people coming over, they all bowed at 90 degrees and shouted in sweet voices. It must be very expensive to spend here, right? Xiaoling Feng asked, feeling a little numb. It's okay. Before I came out, I asked my dad if he could pay for tonight's consumption. He said yes, so he will pay for all our consumption tonight. Don't worry. Zi Xiaoling patted her chest and said confidently, signaling Xiaoling Feng not to be afraid. Well. With Zi Xiaoling's words, Xiaoling Feng finally gained some confidence. Hello, distinguished guests, may I do anything for you too? A pretty waitress came over and asked Xiaoling Feng. Jinzi private room plus Imperial set menu. Zi Xiaoling said arrogantly, revealing his communication watch and indicating to the waiter that he could pay the bill now. "Okay, lady." The waiter instantly understood who was the leader between Qiu Lingfeng and Zi Xiaoling, and he happily led Zi Xiaoling to the front desk and paid the bill. Then, she led Qiu Lingfeng and the two of them to the top floor of the restaurant. At the same time, in the inner courtyard of Taixian's Sword Court, in Zi Rulong's bedroom, Zi Rulong was sipping tea leisurely and reading ancient books. It looked so uncomfortable. Beep beep. A payment message suddenly popped up from Zi Rulong's communication watch. Puff. Zi Rulong just glanced at it, and the tea in his mouth spurted out instantly. Bang, there was a sound, and the teacup in Zi Rulong's hand fell to the ground. What's wrong? Husband. Zi Rulong's concubine came up to her, carefully wiped the tea from the corner of Zi Rulong's mouth with her handkerchief, and asked softly. It's nothing, it's just that half a year's salary suddenly disappeared. Zi Rulong struggled to squeeze out a smile and said, "Good guy. He means that he will pay for tonight's consumption, but he didn't expect that his daughter would kill her father so cruelly." Sure enough, the female university is not allowed to stay. Half of his salary was wiped out in one fell swoop without blinking an eye. What? The concubine looked at Zi Rulong with a puzzled look, apparently not aware of what happened. Chapter 65 Guilty Zi Xiaoling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the Tianzihu private room of Jinlan restaurant, the most luxurious restaurant in Jinlan city, Qiu Lingfeng felt his scalp numb as he looked at the table full of delicacies. Even if he didn't pay the bill with him, he could still see how terrifying the price of such a meal was. Through identification, he was able to see the dish in front of him. The meat comes from elite-level monsters, and the vegetables are precious herbs. Even white rice is spiritual rice that contains spiritual energy. Junior brother, don't just watch. Eat as hard as you can. If you can't eat anymore, pack it up and take it away. You can take it back to your roommates and others. Zi Xiaoling gave Qiu Lingfeng a large piece of meat and said. You've eaten so much of me, so you have to work hard. You're going to win glory tomorrow. Do you understand? Zi Xiaoling held her chin with her hand, her eyes almost turned into crescent moons, and looked at Qiu Lingfeng and said. Qiu Lingfeng suddenly felt a lot of pressure. He nodded and said. Sister, don't worry, I will do my best. Speaking of which, Zi Xiaoling was too kind to him, right? This feeling always makes Qiu Lingfeng feel a little uneasy. No reward for no merit. Zi Xiaoling must be trying to do something for him, right? However, as soon as this idea popped up, it was quickly rejected by Qiu Lingfeng. He is a poor boy from a village, with nothing but nothing. What can Zi Xiaoling do to him? She probably just wants to win over him. After he enters the inner courtyard in the future, he will become Zi Rulong's disciple. After all, the better Zi Xiaoling treats him, the less likely he is to choose other elders. Ah. Zi Xiaoling nodded with satisfaction and started eating. Qiu Lingfeng took a mouthful of elite-level monster meat, and the piece of meat instantly burst out with rich spiritual energy in his stomach, flowing through the meridians around his body. It directly increased the intensity of spiritual energy in his body. In other words, he can now increase his cultivation level by eating. However, this is not the result that Qiu Lingfeng wants now, because he was already at the point where he could condense the 9 textured Taoist seeds, and now this surge of spiritual energy directly brought him to the peak of the 9 textured Taoist seeds. Although his own meridians are not yet full, his body cannot help but want to break through. To put it bluntly, as long as Qiu Lingfeng is not careful now and does not deliberately suppress his realm, he will condense a 9-marked Tao seed on the spot and enter the Taoist realm, and if he did this, the disciple selection he had put so much effort into would be in vain. Isn't he suppressing the realm just to reward the top disciples? To use an inappropriate description, Qiu Lingfeng now suppresses the idea of breakthrough. Just like holding in your fart when you're passing out, you must use all your willpower to hold it in. As long as he relaxes even a little bit, all his previous efforts will be in vain. Junior brother, why don't you eat? Zi Xiaoling saw that Qiu Lingfeng's expression turned ugly after eating a piece of meat, and she frowned and asked in confusion. Sister, if I continue to eat, I'm afraid I will break through. Qiu Lingfeng explained with an ugly expression. What? Zi Xiaoling was startled when she heard this. She quickly put down her bowls and chopsticks, got up and ran to Qiu Lingfeng's side, placing her jade handprint on Qiu Lingfeng's dantian. Immediately afterwards, Zi Xiaoling's whole body erupted with terrifying spiritual power. Qiu Lingfeng felt a weight all over his body, and his desire to break through was instantly suppressed. What followed was a feeling of swelling in the meridians. "Oh no, 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 you're really about to break through." Zi Xiaoling was so anxious that she almost cried. "Senior sister, why are you crying?" Qiu Lingfeng looked at Zi Xiaoling, who was about to cry, and asked in surprise. "Junior brother. I didn't mean it. Don't hate me, senior sister. I really didn't expect that piece of monster meat would make you break through. If I had known, I wouldn't have brought you here." Zi Xiaoling explained with a cry of anxiety. "Hurry back to the Sword Academy with me now. I'll ask my dad to help you suppress your realm. I should be able to buy you another 2 months of time to condense your Tao seeds." With that said, Zi Xiaoling wanted Qiu Lingfeng to take her away from here. "What about this table of dishes?" Qiu Lingfeng asked, pointing to a large table of precious dishes. "These are not as important as your Taoism." Zi Xiaoling pulled Qiu Lingfeng and left the private room in a hurry. Qiu Lingfeng had no choice but to turn around and put all the food into his portable space in one go. "These are all good things. Zi Xiaoling can ignore them, but he can't. When he breaks through to the Taoist realm later, these meals can increase his cultivation. This kind of opportunity to practice while eating doesn't come around very often." Zi Xiaoling pulled Qiu Lingfeng and trotted all the way towards Taishian Sword Academy. At the same time, Zi Xiaoling did not dare to let go of Qiu Lingfeng at all, and released all her spiritual power to suppress Qiu Lingfeng's desire to break through. Of course, this also made Qiu Lingfeng feel the expansion of his meridians for the first time. This feeling is really uncomfortable, but he also knows that as long as he relaxes at this moment, he will still directly condense the Tao seeds and be promoted to a Taoist realm warrior. This was not the result Qiu Lingfeng wanted. Even if he wanted to break through, he would have to wait until his disciples were selected before making a breakthrough. The rewards for disciple selection were so generous that he was not allowed to miss them. I'm sorry, I really didn't mean it." Zi Xiaoling said with a guilty look. "Sister, you don't have to feel guilty." Qiu Lingfeng felt uncomfortable looking at Zi Xiaoling, who was so anxious, and said, "It's my fault. Wu, if you can't gather better Tao seeds in the future, won't you be hating me for the rest of your life? After all, it was me who destroyed your foundation." Zi Xiaoling finally couldn't control her inner emotions, and her tears rolled down like a bursting dam. "Sister, you really don't have to feel guilty." That when Qiu Lingfeng saw Zi Xiaoling crying, he felt anxious and said, if others saw this, they would definitely think that he bullied Zi Xiaoling. Zi Xiaoling said while crying. "Senior sister, I am a 9-mark Taoist. Even if I break through now, it won't matter. You really don't have to feel guilty." Qiu Lingfeng didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and didn't know what to say. "Don't lie to me. How can anyone condense the 9 lines of Tao seed so quickly? Even with your qualifications, you have just been able to condense the 6 lines of Tao seed now, right? It's all me who harmed you." Zi Xiaoling shook her head and cried. Zi Xiaoling just cried and pulled Qiu Lingfeng into the Taishian Sword Academy. It wasn't that Qiu Lingfeng didn't want to stop, but that he couldn't make Zi Xiaoling stop. Zi Xiaoling is a warrior in the 2nd level of Daoling. How can Qiu Lingfeng, who is in the small level of Tongmai, be able to deal with him? Chapter 66 Breakthrough is imminent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Originally, the disciples guarding the entrance to the inner courtyard of Taishian Sword Academy wanted to stop Zi Xiaoling and Qiu Lingfeng. However, after receiving a fierce glare from Zi Xiaoling, they were immediately allowed to pass. Joke, who in the inner courtyard doesn't know Zi Xiaoling, the daughter of the great elder? Originally, it was just a matter of procedure to stop her, but now Zi Xiaoling looks like she will die if she dares to stop her. Those disciples guarding the entrance would not be asking for trouble. Zi Xiaoling took Qiu Lingfeng outside Zi Rulong's bedroom and patted the door anxiously. "I'm coming. A woman's voice came from inside, and after a while, the door was opened. Linger. Why are you in such a hurry? The person next to you is. The woman is very young and beautiful, she looks about 30 years old. Mom, is my dad here? My junior brother is about to break through to the Taoist realm. He must be suppressed, Zi Xiaoling said anxiously. What is it? Zi Rulong walked out and glanced at Qiu Lingfeng, his expression suddenly changed. If he read it correctly, Qiu Lingfeng's aura was far richer than Zi Xiaoling's. Doesn't this mean that Qiu Lingfeng can condense Tao seeds above 7 lines? How long has it been? Moreover, during the first round of disciple selection, the practice could be said to be in a state of complete desolation, but even so, Qiu Lingfeng has practiced to this point, and you can imagine how evil Qiu Lingfeng is. Daddy, please help junior brother. He just took a bite of the meat of an elite monster and couldn't suppress the spiritual energy in his body. If I hadn't used spiritual power to suppress it for him now, he might have broken through to the Taoist realm. Zi Xiaoling didn't dare to let go of Qiu Lingfeng. After all, she was always releasing her spiritual power to suppress Qiu Lingfeng's realm. Great Elder, please help me suppress my realm. I want to get the rewards from the disciple selection. I have been suppressing my realm just for the sake of ranking rewards. If I break through now, all my previous efforts will be in vain. Qiu Lingfeng said with clasped fists. You come with me first. Zi Rulong also had a solemn look on his face. He could not yet see how many Tao seeds Qiu Lingfeng could condense, but it was definitely higher than the 7 Tao seeds. With such qualifications, if you can break through later, you can break through later. After all, every trace of spiritual energy accumulated when condensing Tao seeds will be infinitely amplified in the Tao spirit realm. After saying that, Zi Rulong left the dormitory with Qiu Lingfeng and Zi Xiaoling and went to his retreat room. On the way, Zi Rulong asked. Linger, the Imperial set meal you just had at Jinlan restaurant. Junior brother was about to break through just now. I was in a hurry to leave and forgot to shout to pack it up. It has probably been taken away now. Zi Xiaoling reacted at this time, sighed and said. I only took one bite, and there was a table full of dishes that didn't even move. You, poof. When Zi Rulong heard this, his heart started to bleed with pain. After finally reaching the retreat room, Zi Rulong asked Qiu Lingfeng Panshi to sit on the futon. Let go. Zi Rulong glanced at Zi Xiaoling and said. Oh. Zi Xiaoling let go of her hand after hearing this. The spiritual energy in Qiu Lingfeng's body lost its spiritual suppression, and the swollen meridians throughout his body seemed to have found an outlet and began to flow involuntarily. The speed was getting faster and faster. At this time, no matter how hard Qiu Lingfeng suppressed, he could not stop the spiritual energy in his meridians. Breakthrough is imminent. At this moment, Zi Rulong's big hand pressed down and covered Qiu Lingfeng's Tianling cover, then a sea of spiritual energy poured out from his body, and the turbulent spiritual energy in Qiu Lingfeng's body was instantly suppressed. At the same time, Qiu Lingfeng also felt that his meridians were filling up again, leaving only an uncomfortable feeling of fullness. It was a sign that his meridians had reached their limit. No, the spiritual energy in your body has been concentrated to the extreme. Even I can only suppress it for you for 3 days. Once the 3 days are up, you will condense the Tao seed. Zi Rulong said with a solemn expression. What? Zi Xiaoling heard that Qiu Lingfeng was about to break through in 3 days, and her emotions that had finally stabilized suddenly lost control again. Dad, you must help junior brother. He is so talented and cannot just break through to the Taoist realm. This will ruin his future. Zi Xiaoling pulled Zi Rulong's sleeves and said anxiously. Hearing this, Qiu Lingfeng nodded. He also felt that his body had reached its limit. Originally, he thought he was still not far from the limit. Unexpectedly, that piece of monster meat turned out to be the straw that broke the camel's back. Now he can undoubtedly condense a perfect Tao seed, but he still has to participate in the disciple selection, so he must not break through. Even if the next few days are uncomfortable, he has to endure it. The disciple selection can be completed within 3 days, right? Qiu Lingfeng asked. Ah. Zi Xiaoling responded in a deep voice. Then I'm relieved. Qiu Lingfeng breathed a sigh of relief and said with relief. Why don't you worry? No. Absolutely not. I absolutely don't want you to break through to the Taoist realm so quickly, Zi Xiaoling shouted anxiously. Then she shook Zi Rulong's arm anxiously and said. Dad, you must have a way to suppress your junior brother's spiritual energy, right? It doesn't take 3 days, I want you to suppress his spiritual energy for 2 months, or I will never recognize you again. Zi Rulong was almost so angry that he blew his beard and glared. This daughter's elbows were almost turned into mosquito coils even before she was with Qiu Lingfeng. What's next? It's not that I don't want to, it's that I can't help it. Zi Rulong sighed and said. I said, the spiritual energy in his body has been condensed to the extreme, and the meridians have also reached the limit. If he continues to suppress it deliberately, it will only be harmful to him. Moreover, he can now condense the 8 lines of Taoism. With such qualifications, not only is it unique in the world, it can also be said to be rare in the world. 8 lines of Taoism. Hearing this, Zi Xiaoling was stunned on the spot. Dad, you didn't lie to me, did you? Junior brother can now condense the 8 lines of Tao seeds, Zi Xiaoling said. The spiritual energy in his body now is several times stronger than when you first broke through. Do you think he can't condense a higher level of Taoism than you? Zi Rulong asked rhetorically. Ah. How is this possible? How long has it been since he advanced to the 8th level of Tongmai realm? How could he compress his spiritual energy to this level so quickly? Zi Xiaoling said in disbelief. Junior brother, why didn't you tell me earlier? You made me worried to death. After getting the answer from Zi Rulong, Zi Xiaoling's hanging heart was relieved, feeling relaxed, he couldn't help but cry again. A pair of small hands gently beat Qiu Lingfeng. I told you earlier, it's just that you don't believe it, senior sister. Qiu Lingfeng said dumbfounded and could only let Zi Xiaoling do whatever he wanted. He clearly told the truth, but Zi Xiaoling didn't believe him. But it's not Zi Xiaoling's fault, after all, in his current state, he is really afraid of breakthroughs. If you can't break through, don't break through. Chapter 67 Imperial College. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I don't care, it's all your fault anyway. It makes me worried to death. Zi Xiaoling snorted, still beating Qiu Lingfeng. She really didn't expect that the Tao seed that Qiu Lingfeng could condense now was even more advanced than hers. Now, not only was she no longer worried, she was actually happy for Qiu Lingfeng. Of course, on the surface, she certainly couldn't forgive Qiu Lingfeng so easily, otherwise, where would she put the face of her senior sister? Well, it's all my fault that I didn't explain it clearly to you, senior sister, right away. Qiu Lingfeng raised his hands helplessly and surrendered. Well, I will forgive you this time. There will be no next time anyway. Seeing Qiu Lingfeng surrender, Zi Xiaoling nodded and said with satisfaction. Linger, you go out first. I have something to talk to Ling Feng. Zi Rulong squinted his eyes and said. Ah. Zi Xiaoling glanced at Zi Rulong, nodded, pretended to glare at Qiu Lingfeng fiercely, and left the retreat room. Your talent is very strong, even better than all the geniuses I have ever seen. Zi Rulong put his hands behind his back, looked at Qiu Lingfeng and said, in such a short period of time after entering the 8th stage of the Tongmai realm, Zi Rulong had never heard of being able to condense such high-level Tao seeds. A genius who can awaken his magical talent is truly terrifying. Even if you enter the inner court next and ask me to tutor you, it will just be a waste of your talent. Zi Rulong opened his mouth and continued. Great elder, why do you want to tell me this? Qiu Lingfeng's expression changed and he asked. When Zi Rulong said this, he obviously didn't want to accept him as his disciple, but he has received so many benefits from Zi Xiaoling, how can he not become a disciple of Zi Rulong? Let me be your teacher, but I'm not qualified. Zi Rulong said calmly. Next year, Lingya will go to Imperial College for further study. I hope you will accompany her. Imperial College. Qiu Lingfeng's face changed slightly, the Imperial capital is known as the North Star of the human race. To have such an honor certainly proves its strength. Yes, Imperial College, Linger's talent is considered top-notch in Jinlan City, but it is only in the middle of the pack among Imperial College. I hope you will go with her and not let her be bullied. Zi Xiaoling continued. Are you willing? If you are willing, I will find a teacher for you who can truly teach you. You don't have to worry that I just randomly found a teacher for you. He's a great sage from the human race. The great sage of the human race? Qiu Lingfeng's heart trembled. Yes, that is a being who stands at the top of human martial arts, a being who can defeat king-level monsters. Zi Xiaoling nodded and said. Warcraft are divided into 5 levels: slaves, elites, generals, commanders, and kings. The human race's great sage is an existence that can rival king-level Warcraft. Is there a more powerful existence above this? Qiu Lingfeng frowned and asked curiously. We haven't found it yet. There are not even a few king-level monsters at the moment. Moreover, monsters of this level are also restrained by the great saints of the human race. It is because of this that the human race has a chance to survive. Zi Xiaoling shook his head and said. Okay, I won't tell you more about these things. Let me ask you something again. Elder, please speak. Qiu Lingfeng said with clasped fists. What do you think of Linger? Zi Xiaoling looked at Qiu Lingfeng and asked. How is senior sister Xiaoling? Qiu Lingfeng was stunned, thought for a while and said. Senior sister is very kind and optimistic, and she's also good-looking. It's hard for people to hate her. Zi Xiaoling didn't have any special reaction to Qiu Lingfeng's answer, but just snorted with some dissatisfaction. You go out first. Zi Xiaoling said. Yes. Qiu Lingfeng left the retreat room after hearing this. This kid really has a thick head. Zi Xiaoling shook his head and said dissatisfied. After leaving the retreat room, Qiu Lingfeng saw Zi Xiaoling waiting outside. Junior brother, what did my dad ask you about? Zi Xiaoling saw Qiu Lingfeng coming out, walked over, and asked. Oh, the great elder told me that you want me to go to Imperial College with you next year, and introduce me to a teacher by the way. Qiu Lingfeng said truthfully. So that's it, that's really great. Zi Xiaoling was delighted when she heard this and said. I was originally afraid of going there next year and not being familiar with the place, but since you want to go with me, junior brother, I'm not afraid anymore. Ah. Qiu Lingfeng nodded, seeing Qiu Lingfeng's calm appearance. Zi Xiaoling frowned with dissatisfaction and said. What? Aren't you happy to go to Imperial College with me? Of course not. Qiu Lingfeng shook his head, he still didn't know why Zi Xiaoling said this, so he continued. How could I not be happy to be able to go to Imperial College to practice with my senior sister? Then why don't you smile? Zi Xiaoling asked. He, I laughed. Qiu Lingfeng showed his big white teeth stiffly and smiled. Stop. You're smiling so ugly. Zi Xiaoling stuck out her tongue and said with a look of disgust. Hearing this, Qiu Lingfeng scratched his nose in embarrassment. No, it's obviously you who always makes me laugh. Why do you still blame me for having an ugly smile? Forget it, I'll take you back to the outer courtyard. Zi Xiaoling waved her hand and said. With that said, Zi Xiaoling took Qiu Lingfeng's hand and took him away from here. The disciple guarding the entrance to the inner courtyard saw Zi Xiaoling coming back and immediately turned his head, pretending not to see it. Nonsense, who didn't see the fierce look of this young lady just now? If he dared to stop her now, it goes without saying that he would definitely be on the receiving end of a gun, and this young lady must be very happy with such a bright expression now. If you stop her and ruin her good mood, what can you do? Junior brother, you have to have a good rest tonight. I will go and cheer you up when you strive for good results tomorrow. Zi Xiaoling sent Qiu Lingfeng out of the inner courtyard, and said goodbye. I will. Qiu Lingfeng smiled slightly and said. Well, you must be careful during the melee. Don't be attacked by others who don't follow martial ethics. Zi Xiaoling reminded. I understand, I will treat it with care. Qiu Lingfeng nodded with deep understanding. That's good, then, see you later. Zi Xiaoling waved her hand, turned around and ran towards the inner courtyard, while looking back at Qiu Lingfeng a few times, looking at this senior sister who was younger than him. Qiu Lingfeng also raised a smile on his lips. When I'm with senior sister Xiaoling, I really feel relaxed. I have to say that he really likes the feeling of staying with Zi Xiaoling. After all, Zi Xiaoling didn't have the airs of other inner court disciples at all. Although they all call Qiu Lingfeng their junior brother, Zi Xiaoling is not as difficult to contact as other inner courtyard disciples, because Zi Xiaoling placed Qiu Lingfeng on an equal footing. Unlike other inner courtyard disciples he came into contact with who considered themselves superior. Chapter 68 The Second Round of Selection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next morning, Qiu Lingfeng got up early. Come on. Zhao Bai was still lying on the bed and said in a lazy tone. Of course I will. You must also practice hard so that I can see you in the inner courtyard next year. Qiu Lingfeng smiled and said. Although I'm not as perverted as you, what will be difficult for me to enter the inner courtyard next year? Then you have to help me because we are roommates. Zhao Bai also laughed and said. See what you said, don't forget each other even if you are rich or noble. For the sake of us being roommates, can I still treat you badly when you go to the inner courtyard? Qiu Lingfeng shrugged and said. Haha, that's right. Zhao Bai smiled. That's it for now. I'm going to have breakfast now, and I'll go to the disciple selection in a while. Qiu Lingfeng waved his hand and left the dormitory. Beep beep. When going down the stairs, Qiu Lingfeng received a text message from Zhang Xiaonan. Ling Feng, you must work hard today. Bring honor to our Xingshou village. Qiu Lingfeng looked at the text message sent by Zhang Xiaonan, raised the corner of his mouth, and replied. I know how to do it. You should also practice well so that I can see you in the inner courtyard next year. Well, I'll do my best. Just wait for me in the inner courtyard. Zhang Xiaonan also sent a reply. In the future, just ask me for missions that require inner court disciples to lead the team. It would be too much of a disadvantage for you to find other inner court disciples. Qiu Lingfeng thought for a while and sent a message. All he can do is help Zhang Xiaonan and others when performing tasks. Then, Qiu Lingfeng went to the cafeteria to have a meal. After eating and drinking, he came to the outer courtyard disciple hall, because the disciples of the outer courtyard cannot enter and exit the inner courtyard at will. If it weren't for Zi Xiaoling, Qiu Lingfeng would only dare to stand at the door of the inner courtyard and peek inside, and the reason why he came to the disciple hall of the outer courtyard was precisely because of this. All disciples who have passed the survival test will gather in the disciple hall of the outer courtyard and be led into the inner courtyard by the disciples of the inner courtyard. Although it is a little troublesome, there is nothing wrong with it. If the inner courtyard allows disciples from the outer courtyard to enter whenever they want, how can there be any sense of specialness, and how can it inspire the disciples to be motivated and practice hard? Because Qiu Lingfeng received the notice in advance, he came to the outer courtyard disciple hall around 8 o'clock. Other disciples from the outer courtyard also arrived here early, eager to participate in the second round of melee. When the disciples from the outer courtyard who had passed the survival test arrived, Mo Qiuying also appeared. It was almost the same as last time, falling from the sky. Only this time she was not riding a falcon, but a skylark. Qiu Lingfeng actually knew a disciple who came with her. It was Wan Linhai and senior brother Wan who controlled the earth-suppressing rhino. Wan Linhai seemed to recognize Qiu Lingfeng and cast a surprised look at Qiu Lingfeng. Obviously he did not expect Qiu Lingfeng to break through to the 8th level of Tongmai realm so quickly. When they first met, Qiu Lingfeng was clearly only at the 4th level of Tongmai realm. How long has it been since? Junior brother, are you from Xingshou village? Wan Linhai walked towards Qiu Lingfeng and asked. Senior brother Wan, it's me. Qiu Lingfeng laughed, knowing that Wan Linhai recognized him. It's really you. Your name is Qiu Lingfeng, right? Wan Linhai said in surprise. Senior brother, you have such a good memory, you actually remember my name. Qiu Lingfeng didn't expect Wan Linhai to remember his name. Originally, he thought it was good that Wan Linhai recognized his face. I didn't expect that in just a short period of time. you would have reached the 8th level of Tongmai realm. Work hard. Let me see you in the inner courtyard. Wan Linhai patted Qiu Lingfeng's shoulder and encouraged him. Yes. Qiu Lingfeng chuckled and nodded. When it was nearly 9 o'clock, all the disciples from the outer courtyard who participated in the second round had already arrived, a total of 170 people. Qiu Lingfeng glanced at the outer courtyard disciples participating in the second round. They spotted Guo Chen and others. After seeing Qiu Lingfeng, they waved and walked over. How was your rest last night? Guo Chen asked. What do you think? I haven't had a good night's sleep for a whole month. Qiu Lingfeng stretched and said. Then, Qiu Lingfeng glanced at Wang Tao and Li Minmin and joked. But a few of us slept comfortably, but 2 of us probably didn't sleep very well last night. Go. 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 Wang Tao's face turned red and he said. Li Minmin also lowered her head in embarrassment, too lazy to pay attention to Qiu Lingfeng. Ha ha ha. Zhang Hongsheng and Guo Chen also laughed when they heard this. It's just that some people shed tears of being single while smiling. After everyone gathered, the 2 inner courtyard disciples led Qiu Lingfeng and others towards the inner courtyard. Because the distance is short, Qiu Lingfeng and others don't want to take the falcon like last time. They can only walk honestly. After entering the inner courtyard, a group of disciples from the outer courtyard headed to the martial arts arena in Great Force. There are several stages in the martial arts arena. The smallest arena has an area of square meters. Do you think it's quite big just by looking at the square footage? In fact, one side of the arena is only 80 meters long. However, this arena is more than enough to accommodate Qiu Lingfeng, one of the 170 disciples from the outer courtyard. The rules of the second round of melee are very simple. If you fall out of the ring, you will be eliminated. In addition, if you faint on the ring for more than 10 seconds and do not stand up again, you will be considered a failure. You are not allowed to use weapons, and you are not allowed to hurt people's lives. Once you violate these 2 rules, you will be eliminated directly. If you hurt people's lives, you will be expelled from the Taixien Sword Academy and taken to the City Lord's mansion to accept sanctions. Mo Chioying introduced the rules. Then, a group of disciples from the outer courtyard walked onto the ring. Then, a group of inner court disciples acted as referees. This group of inner court disciples circled the ring, monitoring every move on the ring. Not far from the arena, a girl wearing the uniform of an inner court disciple waved her hand towards Qiu Lingfeng. Junior brother, you have to work hard. That girl is Zi Xiaoling. Many of the outer courtyard disciples who were standing close to Qiu Lingfeng thought Zi Xiaoling was greeting them, and they immediately sorted out their images. In addition to Zi Xiaoling, many inner courtyard disciples also came here. They were either bored and came here to watch the melee between the disciples from the outer courtyard, or their younger brothers and sisters were in the ring and came over to cheer. The number of disciples from the outer courtyard participating in the second round of disciple selection should be 170, but in fact there are 170, Wan Linhai said. Now, all junior brothers and sisters, please get ready. Clang. A bell suddenly rang in the distance. The second quarter has arrived. Chapter 69, Don't Mess with Your Father. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As the bell rang, everyone's nerves were tense instantly, paying attention to the actions of the people around them. Qiu Lingfeng, Guo Chen, and the others couldn't help but get closer. Compared to others, the 5 people who had formed a team together were more trustworthy. This stalemate was broken only after a few seconds, then it got out of hand and everyone started fighting. Everyone is looking for flaws in others, and everyone is cautiously wary of others. The young man also punched Qiu Lingfeng. The young man has a childish face and looks to be only 15 or 16 years old. At a glance, he can tell that he is a child from a wealthy family and has had good cultivation resources since he was a child. In Jinlan City, in addition to those big families, there are also many wealthy people. The most important thing for their children is cultivation resources. Who doesn't want their next generation to win glory for themselves? There are flaws. Qiu Lingfeng saw the loopholes in the young man's moves at a glance. He easily avoided the young man's fist on one side of his body, then moved his palm and printed it on the young man's chest. Qiu Lingfeng had already held back on this move. The young man's body just flew out of the ring and he was not seriously injured. So strong, Guo Chen and others' pupils shrank when they saw Qiu Lingfeng taking action calmly, even after being together for a month. This was the first time they saw Qiu Lingfeng's strength. After all, the monsters I encountered before were basically low-level slave monsters that could be killed instantly with one move, and could not demonstrate their combat effectiveness intuitively at all. Now that Qiu Lingfeng defeated warriors of the same level so easily, we can see how strong Qiu Lingfeng is. Of course, this does not exclude the fact that the young man is too immature and does not have much practical experience. But even so, Qiu Lingfeng's strength is still very terrifying. The ones over there are stronger, deal with them first. Only by defeating them can we have a chance to advance to the next round. A disciple from the outer courtyard saw Qiu Lingfeng instantly killing the boy of the same level with one move, and pointed at Qiu Lingfeng and shouted. As the young man shouted, many people also approached Qiu Lingfeng and the other 5. Damn! These people really don't have martial ethics, and they actually want to fight in groups. Guo Chen suddenly became anxious. It's not a big problem for him to fight 1 or 2, but when there are more people on the opposite side, how can he beat them? You guys have to be careful. Qiu Lingfeng's face became cautious and he said. Do you need to say more? Zhang Hongxing now had a stinky face and said speechlessly, everyone knows this situation and needs to be careful, right? Do you need another reminder from Qiu Lingfeng? Let's go together. An outer courtyard disciple shouted, then rushed towards Qiu Lingfeng and others. Other disciples from the outer courtyard also rushed over. However, Qiu Lingfeng suddenly discovered the disciple who was the first to lead the charge. After running for 2 steps, he braked and retreated. Start the attack and retreat. Okay, this is very true. However, the disciples from the outer courtyard who were fooled did not realize that the disciple who led the charge had betrayed them, still stupidly attacking Qiu Lingfeng and others. Qiu Lingfeng took a deep breath, and then sank slightly. Tong my fist 8th form. Bang. There was an explosion, and then a terrifying wave of spiritual energy spurted out from Qiu Lingfeng's fist. He directly drove away the large group of outer courtyard disciples. The remaining disciples from the outer courtyard were also stunned on the spot, just watching their teammates fall to the ground. The spiritual energy in my body is released a little, and I feel much more comfortable. After Qiu Lingfeng punched him, he said something very comfortable. The intense pain was different from the first time I used this move. Now Qiu Lingfeng's meridians only feel a sense of relief. It felt like my stomach was so uncomfortable due to the gas that I finally let out a belch. After all, Qiu Lingfeng is now on the verge of breaking through at any time, if Zi Xiaoling hadn't helped him suppress his realm. Qiu Lingfeng has now condensed his Tao seeds and became a Taoist realm warrior. Why are you so strong? You are so powerful and you still tell us to be careful. Guo Chen's eyes almost dropped as he shouted excitedly. Oh, I mean to tell you to stay away from me, and be careful not to be shocked by my momentum. Qiu Lingfeng explained. It seems that Guo Chen and others misunderstood the meaning of the careful words just now. Quite suddenly, Guo Chen and the others felt like they were worthless and useless. Obviously before entering the competition, the 4 of them were confident that they could be considered little geniuses. No matter how you say it, you can look familiar in the disciple selection. But he didn't expect to meet the monster Qiu Lingfeng. All of a sudden they felt ashamed. I wish I could find a crack in the ground and burrow into it now. What a little genius I am. Wow. Junior brother, come on. Junior brother, come on. Qiu Lingfeng's performance on stage also fell in Zi Xiaoling's eyes. At this time, Zi Xiaoling transformed into Qiu Lingfeng's little fangirl. Her big eyes filled with stars, and she shouted excitedly. That person is not something we can deal with. Let's hit his opponent first. The other outer courtyard disciples who reacted instantly understood that there were several fathers in this arena that they could not afford to offend. Obviously, the scene where Qiu Lingfeng knocked away more than 20 people with one punch had made him unknowingly become a dad in the ring. The other outer court disciples no longer dared to step forward easily at this time. When facing an opponent who is only a few points better than you, you still have the courage to fight, but if you want to face an opponent many times stronger, let's go to sleep. There is everything in the dream. However, although other outer courtyard disciples no longer dare to attack Qiu Lingfeng, they have their minds set on Guo Chen and the other 2, because even a big daddy can't lead 4 pig teammates. If you can't catch Big Daddy, can't you catch Big Daddy's teammates? Hiss, the situation seems to be a little bad. Guo Chen was stared at eagerly by the other disciples from the outer courtyard. His scalp suddenly felt numb and he gasped. Not only was he like this, but Wang Tao and others were also targeted by other outer courtyard disciples. Come closer to me, Qiu Lingfeng reminded. Quickly, divide the battlefield quickly. Don't let Big Daddy give you a chance to protect these people, an outer court disciple shouted. I come, a disciple from the outer courtyard who was as strong as an ox stood up and shouted. Mid-level martial arts, tough pine pile, immediately afterwards, the outer courtyard disciple stood in front of Qiu Lingfeng and opened his hands. Not only that, there were also a bunch of disciples from the outer courtyard who also used martial arts to divide the battlefield. Qiu Lingfeng was strong, but facing the martial arts offensive of so many disciples, he could only retreat. As a result, the distance between Qiu Lingfeng and Guo Chen gradually widened. Dad! Father Feng, come quickly and cover us, Guo Chen shouted anxiously. I want to too. But I can't get through it, Qiu Lingfeng could only respond helplessly. Chapter 70 Guo Chen, why are you gone? You are listening at novelfull.audio. No, they are forcing me too hard, the four of them, Guo Chen, were forced to retreat and had reached the edge of the ring, almost falling out of the ring. Hurry up, we are going to win, an outer courtyard disciple said excitedly. In a big melee, one can eliminate an opponent. Tong My Fist 8th form, a disciple from the outer courtyard also stepped down and used the 8th form of Tong My Fist. Then a wave of spiritual energy rushed towards Guo Chen and the others. Although it is not as abnormal as Qiu Lingfeng's 8th form of Tong My Fist, it is still very amazing. After all, not everyone's spiritual energy is concentrated to the extreme. Bang! The four of them, Guo Chen, were attacked by spiritual energy attacks. They stumbled and were almost knocked off the stage. No, we have to seize the opportunity to break out. If this continues, we will definitely be eliminated. Guo Chen's face hardened and he spoke cautiously. As soon as he said his words, Zhang Hongsheng and others nodded in agreement. The woman over there looks weaker, let's stick out from there. Guo Chen scanned around and finally locked his eyes on a petite girl. What a beast, but I like it. Zhang Hongsheng's mouth twitched, and then he smiled. Then, several people quickly adjusted their positions. He rushed towards the girl. Mid-level martial arts, Gale Wind. When the girls saw Guo Chen and others coming towards her, her face froze, and then she circulated the spiritual energy in her meridians and performed a middle-grade martial arts. As soon as the martial arts came out, a terrifying hurricane of spiritual energy burst out from her body and rolled towards Guo Chen and the others. If Qiu Lingfeng were here at this time, he would definitely shout, why are you provoking this girl? She can condense the 5 lines of Taoism. Is she something you can deal with? No, we seem to have hit a brick wall. Only then did Guo Chen realize that the girl's strength was far more terrifying than her appearance seemed. I am coming. Qiu Lingfeng finally got rid of the large group of outer courtyard disciples and ran over. I'll stop him, you guys hurry up and deal with those people. The girl also noticed Qiu Lingfeng, and immediately withdrew her attack and slapped Qiu Lingfeng. Bang! Qiu Lingfeng clapped his palm against it, and there was an explosion. Because both sides burst out spiritual energy in unison, Qiu Lingfeng flew out, and when he was about to land, he flipped and landed firmly on the ground. The girl opposite obviously flew further and almost fell out of the ring, but looking at her, she still looked relaxed. Everyone is in the 8th level of Tongmai realm, so their strength must be about the same. The only difference is the richness of the spiritual energy, which results in different strengths of the martial arts performed. Sure enough. The girl looked at Qiu Lingfeng solemnly. Qiu Lingfeng identified the girl's level of strength at a glance. She was in the 8th level of Tongmai realm and could condense the 5 lines of Taoism. In this second round of disciple selection, he is already considered to have top qualifications. Zhang Hongsheng, how long can you hold on? Qiu Lingfeng shouted at Zhang Hongsheng. It's hopeless, we're already going to fall. Zhang Hongsheng shouted anxiously. At this time Li Minmin had fallen into the ring, only he and Wang Tao and Guo Chen were left struggling to support themselves. Forget it, Ling Feng, leave us alone. Zhang Hongxing shouted, so as not to drag down Qiu Lingfeng, and jumped off the ring. No! Junior brother Qiu, save me! I don't want to be eliminated like this. Dad! Save me! Guo Chen was afraid of being left behind by Qiu Lingfeng, so he pulled his neck and shouted. In order to stay in the ring, face is not important at all, right? Guo Chen, let's not support ourselves so hard. Why bother? It's already good to have made it this far. Wang Tao glanced at Li Minmin in the audience and sighed. Humph, how long have I been working hard for today? I won't allow you to give up halfway. Guo Chen snorted and said. After saying that, Guo Chen erupted with a terrifying aura that one man can stand in the way and 10,000 men can't stop him. Guo Chen. Wang Tao never thought that Guo Chen, who looked so ordinary, could be so handsome sometimes, but the next moment, Guo Chen was knocked off the ring by 3 people, ruining the great atmosphere. Guo Chen, why are you gone? Wang Tao shouted in shock. Then, he was also carried off the ring by a group of disciples from the outer courtyard. Then, a group of outer courtyard disciples who besieged Guo Chen and others also began to target each other. Originally, they only cooperated temporarily and only benefited each other. Now that the 4 of them, Guo Chen, have been eliminated, there will definitely be a fight between them. On Qiu Lingfeng's side, the girl had attacked him again. The girl was very fast and was almost approaching Qiu Lingfeng. Qiu Lingfeng didn't care about anything else and kicked out with a horizontal kick. Seeing this, the girl jumped up and kicked Qiu Lingfeng in the face. If he were kicked, Qiu Lingfeng would probably be disfigured. Qiu Lingfeng reached out and grabbed the girl's ankle in his hand. The girl's expression changed, and she kicked her other leg hard. Mighty Claw. Qiu Lingfeng originally didn't want to use his magical talent, but the girl in front of him obviously had martial arts to enhance her own strength. He almost missed the kick just now. If Qiu Lingfeng didn't use his magical talent, it would be very difficult for Qiu Lingfeng to deal with the girl. Hey! Qiu Lingfeng pulled the girl's ankle and began to swing her hard, just like throwing a discus, spinning in place. What? The girl was startled by Qiu Lingfeng's actions and couldn't help but scream. Many disciples from the outer courtyard around covered their ears because of the girl's high-pitched screams. Hurry up and let go. I just won't hit you, the girl cried out in fear. Let go. Okay. Qiu Lingfeng raised the corner of his mouth and suddenly let go of his hand. The girl flew out directly. A perfect parabola was drawn in the air. Just when the girl almost fell out of the ring, a boy jumped up and hugged the girl who flew out. Are you okay? The young man was quite handsome. He looked down at the girl and asked softly. I am fine. The girl looked at the boy hugging her. Her face suddenly turned rosy. She shook her head and said. It's fine. The boy put the girl back on the ring and then asked. Girl, I have a question for you. What is the problem? The girl glanced at the boy, and she obviously had a lot of affection for the boy who had just helped him. Do you have a boyfriend? The boy looked at the girl and asked seriously. The girl's face became even more rosy, and she said hesitantly. If he was willing to work hard, I would have a boyfriend. The young man's face turned cold when he heard this and said. It seems that the girl already has a crush on her. Please leave slowly without seeing her off. After saying that, the boy pushed the girl off the ring, unprepared.